Right now in Nigeria pastors don't preach about the coming of Christ, the salvation of Christ, forgiveness, sin, how to make heaven. All the pastors in Nigeria, 85% of Nigerian pastors now preach about holy tithe and offering. They now preach about holy tithe and offering and how to attack another pastor from their altar. My question is that, will the next generation know God? This is a very important question. Don't ignore this question. Will the next generation still know God? Will they still know that there is God? There is somebody which will give praise to? Don't misunderstand me. Because the previous preachers, the previous men of God, never preached about salvation, never preached against sin, never preached about the coming of Christ. They never preached about heaven and hell. All they preach is money, giving. Who can donate 10,000? Who can donate 100,000, 70,000, 50,000, 30, down to 500? That is what Nigeria pastors are now doing in Nigeria. My question again, will the next generation know the Bible? Will they know if there is God? Because the sin of the world, they increase every day. Because why? The pastors, the preachers don't preach about sin. Don't misunderstand me. The preachers, the men of God right now, don't preach about sin. They don't preach about heaven. They don't preach about the coming of Christ. They don't preach about the salvation of Christ. All they preach is money. Will the next generation know about Christ? Know about God? Because the men of God in Nigeria, Africa, make us to understand that the Bible was written by a man. And to me, the Bible is a dictionary. It's a dictionary to me, yes. Why I'm doing this video, because my daughter, normally for the Bible, there are little questions we can ask our kids, which they can answer easily. I was asking my daughter today about the Bible. She could not even answer 5% of my question. Definitely nobody's teaching about the Bible anymore. Nobody is teaching about the Bible anymore. The sin of the world has increased. Every day, new sin, they come up. New sin. Because why? The fear of God is not there anymore. In those days, they preach about salvation. They make us to understand that if you sin, you go to hell. Then sin reduce. In those days, they preach to us that if you do sin, you go to hell. We are afraid to do sin. And when you want to create a sin, you want to commit a sin, there is somewhere in the Bible that say, this thing you're about to do will lead you to hell and it will lead you to destruction. Then you as a sinner, you will back up from that thing you want to do. But now, that kind of preaching does not exist anymore. That kind of preaching does not exist anymore. How will the next generation know there is God? Why now? Because now the preachers and the pastors don't preach about God. They preach about income. They preach about money. They preach about who can give. So when our next generation grow up, what they will learn is about giving and giving. The sins of the world has overshadowed us in a way that when we pray to God, God does not answer us anymore. God does not answer us because the sins have separated us from God. Every day of my life, I keep asking, please, Nigeria pastors should go back to the old preaching. Let us know about the coming of Christ, the salvation of Christ, how to make heaven. Teach about the sin. Teach about sin. The fear of God is the beginning of wisdom. But now nobody fears God anymore. Nobody fears God anymore because anybody can just wake up in the morning and do anything he wants to do. Because the fear of God is not there anymore. Because why? The Nigeria pastors are not preaching about the fear of God anymore, but preaching about money. Anybody can just wake up and do anything and believe with money he can go free with what he has done, with what he or she has done. But if the preaching in those days come back, if the pastors can bring back the preaching in those days that make us like me, before my Christianity was very high. If I want to commit any sin, I ask myself, the Bible say in the book of so place that this thing I'm about to do will lead me to destruction. I will back up. That is how the Bible was before. But now the Bible, the Nigerian pastors they are now make the Bible look as anything you do with money, you can go scot-free. Nigerian pastors, please. My question here is that, will the next generation still know God? Will they still understand there is forgiveness? Will the next generation understand that sin will take you to hell? Will the next generation still understand that there is heaven after earth? Will the next generation still understand that salvation? Will the next generation still understand that it's not all about tithe? They should know Christ. That will they still understand that Christ is still coming? That is my question. Will the next generation understand that there is Christ, there is God to serve? Because they make everything look as if without money, nothing. I beg now, Nigeria pastors, men are stopped to the true words from altar they give another man of God. Men are stopped to the talk about tithe and offering. Fine, we don't know say now tithe and offering, they have a memory already. But when we are in the church, people should preach about the salvation of God, the coming of Christ, the forgiveness, the saying, heaven. Preach about those things. People should leave all this tight fighting each other and the rest. My pain here is that what I'm seeing with the next generation, because the sin don't increase, will the next generation still know God? That is my question.